Here we go.
Great, thank you so much. Welcome everyone to the August 3rd MVP office hours. Hopefully you can see our screen as people continue to dial in. We'll just keep working through some of this information that we've got here on our first slide. You'll notice that there are some additional events that have been added to our list. I discovered a couple that I hadn't heard about, so I added them. And next up is Forcelandia, which is a developer-focused event. So if you were in the developer arena, Forcelandia out there in Portland is an awesome event. I know that the speakers are working on presentations fiercely, and I hear everything is coming together really nicely. And I think this is their third or fourth event. So they're going strong there. And then as Dale and I were talking before the call started, Dreamforce is right around the corner, September 25th through the 28th. So hopefully you can all join us in San Francisco. And feel free to reach out to any of us and any of those on the call to say, hey, let's meet up and meet in person. I bet you anything we will probably have some new MVP office hour stickers to hand out at Dreamforce. So, we're all adults and we all need stickers. So there's always that. Something else that I've added to the bottom of this slide is some Dreamforce opportunities. They've just announced that they're doing a Commerce Cloud Bootcamp along with a couple of others, and there's a link there at the bottom of the slide, so you can just pop in there and check that out and register if Commerce Cloud is something that you are trying to attain as well. So Dale, let's go ahead and pop onto the next slide if you would, please. So MVP Office Hours is held the first and third Friday of the month. Our next call is scheduled for August 17th. And you can always register at our standard bit.ly MVP OHUS. That doesn't change. And if you're new to this, this is simply a Q&A discussion opportunity for an hour. Anybody can ask any question related to Salesforce, and we always try to talk about approaches, give pointers, point you to some resources, and then everybody chimes in and gives their recommendations. Even though this is called MVP Office Hours, it's really community office hours. And so anybody with experience, please chime in and share your do's, don'ts, and gotchas, and especially successes. So this is being recorded. We'll post it to community and to Twitter. If you haven't already had the chance, go ahead and mute yourself just so we don't have any background disruptions. And to ask your questions, go ahead and either raise your hand in the chat, or if we've got some dead air, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away. We just ask that everybody announce themselves so we can get familiar with voices and names. And like I said, everyone's welcome to share their experiences. You can also use the chat to post any resources as we're talking about different things. It's a great opportunity for everyone to participate. And we now can do screen share with Zoom, which is the tool that we're using. The only thing that I caution you about is make sure that you're showing us things from your sandbox. Make sure you're not showing us live data because this is recorded. And you want to make sure that you're honoring all of your company requirements to protect your data. So with that, let's go ahead and, I guess one more thing. We mentioned this each call. We do have a growing global presence with MVP Office Hours. So we're the first and third Friday of the month. EMEA has a variety of days that they may. APAC is now starting to go strong with a variety of dates that they are. I'm not sure that they've nailed down a repetitive date and time. And then Portuguese happens that says Thursday, but I think it's the fourth Thursday of the month. I'll double check on that. On the right-hand side, you've got the Twitter handle, so you can always pop in and see when the next registration has been posted. Make sure that you're following those for your areas. And let's see, with that, go ahead, Dale.
Well, so we have Carlos on the call. You want to speak up super quick, Carlos, and let us know when Portuguese is?
Hello.
Hey, Carlos.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Yes, the MVP Office Hours happens on the last Thursday of every month. And Jackie has been great spreading the word for non-Portuguese speakers to join. And believe me, has been great because people at the end of the call, they realize no matter what's the language barrier, we all face the same issues. And the people that speak Portuguese, they feel appreciated because they are on their side of the world. And people that don't speak Portuguese, they have a chance to get a glimpse of other culture, stuff like that. So I highly recommend anybody to join us, we would be more than welcome.
Absolutely. And Carlos does a fantastic job translating both directions, so the language is not a barrier. So join. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So I highly recommend that. Thank you, Carlos. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the call to questions, and let's see if we can't help each other solve some problems and point each other to some good resources. So who's got the first question? And if it's not a question, if somebody's working on something
Carlos.
new, yeah, Carlos, go ahead.
I have it. Over a month and a half ago, I start to have this nasty message that most of you probably have seen or heard about. OAuth error. O authorization error. And I have no clue what is taking place. I can share my screen here to show the message. I can share the status. This is on my developers org. And if I'm at work, it doesn't happen. I'm at work, PwC, of course, we have a VPN in there. I don't have the issue, but if I try to do it from my computer at home, it happens all the time.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen when you get there.
Okay.
So Carlos, this is Dale. You said you're running a VPN. What about, is there single sign-on?
Well, no. When I'm at work, when I'm using my company's computer, okay, I never had that. Even if I'm at home, if I'm using the PwC PC, if I'm at home, I'm using a VPN. If I'm in their office, I'm using their own wireless in there. So this issue here, I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the picture that I took here. But when I'm at home on my own computer, as soon as I log into my dev org, that works fine. The problem, I get this error when I try to log in either on the Trailblazer community or on the Trailhead. I always get this. I refresh the browser, I click in there again, and then these things vanish. And I have no idea what it is. Let me see if I can show you my settings here.
Couple quick questions that come to mind are, do you have any IP restrictions?
No.
Any login IP? Okay.
I'm logging here. This is my oldest org. I will die, I will take the org with me. That's my very first org. That's that I think everybody has one of those. I try to nurture. I mean, I have others, but this is the main one that I use, for everything. So let me get here if I can only. Let me know if you can still see my screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this has been funny because if you can see here, you see community. You see here community prompt and stuff. This one says block or uninstall. I don't really, I know, I probably understand if I block, it won't happen, it won't work, but I didn't have this uninstall here. Everything else was like, you see the others, they pretty much says install, and they seem to work fine. If I get here to the Power of Us hub, I don't have anything installed. So I went ahead and I said, let me see if I click on install, it's gonna do me any good, and it does not. I have this user count here, which I have no clue what it is, so.
When did this start?
I would say over a month and a half ago.
Are you a user group leader?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm a group leader, but my community is not recognized like Mentorship Central, even though I'm a, I'm a member of the Trailblazer community user group leaders. Kendall put me in there. I never received any credentials to get to that, and I understand how they're changing logins and stuff like that.
And I wonder if this might be kind of tied to all the changes that are going on with user groups right now. Like, you remember, or when maybe you did, maybe you didn't get this stuff, but about a month ago, all of us as user group leaders were issued new onboarding documents. And we were told we were going to change event management platforms, like from Splash to Bevy, and a myriad of other things, including our user group emails changing from @Salesforce user groups to Trailblazer community, something different, whatever.
Yeah, Trailblazer
I'm wondering if this
group leaders.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm wondering if whatever you're trying to connect through here, if it's a community thing, if perhaps something got moved on the community end, that now your org is struggling to connect to because the pathway is different.
Well, that's a very valid line of thought. If I ever had access to that environment prior to this, so I never had access to the previous one. I was never granted a username and password. I don't even know what's the website or link or group to get to that users group leader. So,
Huh.
And
Yeah,
as I said,
I hear what you're saying.
you see, I have other stuff here. I mean, this stuff is old. I don't remember how these things got in there. I mean, I have a Cyrus here. I don't even use a Cyrus, and I don't know how I can remove this for there, but I'm not concerned about Cyrus or anything else. I mean, I know that I can go to the exchange. I don't have an issue. But if I go through the community or Trailhead, I have an issue. That's only once, the very first time that I do on the day. If I
Carlos, have you already connected your the web assessor for certifications to Trailhead? And if so, did it start?
Yeah,
did you start having this issue after you did that?
No, that thing was done. I was having the issue way prior to that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's all I had.
Okay. Well, it's food for thought. If there's anybody, have seen this before, where we can, follow up, because I put on the community on answers in there, and I didn't get anything. It doesn't stop me for doing my thing, but every time that I try to log in on the community on Trailhead, I have this thing, and of course I say, hey, what exactly it is, because it could happen on the real world.
Right.
But, as I said, we don't need to get stuck on this. We can put on the articles, the topics discussed, and then, eventually if somebody has a clue, they can post in the community, and we go from there.
Great, thanks.
And I would say ping Holly, because you are connecting to you're trying to connect to a community thing that's now giving you OAuth. Start with her. Just start
Holly
with her.
Firestone?
Yeah, and see where it goes.
Well, okay, because she is the least technical that we can have in there.
Well, but she would know who technically to point you to.
All right, I do that. Thank you all.
Great, thank you, Carlos. Who else has a question or an issue that they've been facing? We've got a lot of new names on our participant list, which is fantastic. I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is a safe place for asking questions. So if you've got, and it could be what you might consider the simplest of questions, we will do our best to point you in the right direction. So please don't hesitate to raise your hand and ask.
Hey, Carlos, can you please release screen control or screen share?
Okay.
Thanks.
I don't see any hands raised. Oh, here we go, Scott. Scott, I'm going to unmute you. Here we go.
Hey there. I was just wondering if anybody has enabled multi-currency in their org. I'm just looking for like a general idea of how odious a task that is, or if there's, a big, a training curve for users. We're starting to get ready to do that. I'm just trying to help give some estimates on timelines, and I'm not sure how big a project this is.
It's a whole mess of small things. That's as much as I know.
Okay.
And this is Brendan. I've done a few implementations of multi-currency. I think the breadth of it just depends on how many currencies you're dealing with, and if you also want to have the conversion automatically be dated. Like I've got one client that has at least 12 different currencies that they use, and they also wanted dated exchange rates. So in January for the peso, it's 0.003 or whatever the conversion is. So how many currencies are you planning on?
Just one to start, which is good.
Okay. It should be reasonably straightforward. You would just have to determine for your current opportunities what currency you would be using. Like if you have historical data that now has to be put into euro, whatever the currency you're working from.
Okay. That's a very good point. I mean, I was about to jump in. I have not implemented myself, but at the PwC, we have 40,000 users worldwide using Lightning, and we have a lot of that. A big thing in there is to make sure that the locale for the person doing that, when they create an opportunity, to make sure what exactly they are doing, because if we have a case of, it happens all the time that we have people in Europe dealing with Mexico and vice versa. And you have to be very careful when you create the opportunity to make sure that the person creating the opportunity, that their locale is in line with what they wanted to happen.
How do you do that? It's like it.
Go ahead, sorry.
Carlos, are you talking about just making sure that it's correct on the individual user record, that the locale is correct there?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly, on the locale.
Okay. So on the individual user record, Scott,
exactly,
is where you want to make sure that it's correct.
Yes.
Yep, and you can default it to a specific currency as well. Like I would be USD, but my friend Carlos might be euros, for example, at the user level. You just default it. And something to consider from a reporting standpoint, let's say that you have a bunch of different currencies. You might have USD, you have euros, you have pesos. When you do the grouping itself, you can choose how to summarize it. So if I want to summarize all of the closed won opportunities across all currencies as USD, when you have multi-currency enabled, you have that ability to say, I want this explicitly grouped as USD, or I want to change it, I want it explicitly grouped as euros, but it shows at the line item itself, so each opportunity what the current actual currency is, but it does a conversion to the grouping and puts it into whatever you're selecting.
All right, so let me throw a wrench in there. What if I'm here in US doing dollars, and I have working with another team members in Europe, and they doing euros, and we have opportunity splits? Is that a problem?
I've never worked with splits with multi-currency. That's a good question.
I'm asking for a friend.
I don't know what
Hashtag asking for a friend.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, it's real, right? I mean, we live in a global environment that you can probably, there's a two salespeople working together with a company, and it might be if you have a split.
I'm going to say tentatively that you can't, because one opportunity would have one currency. So there wouldn't, at least to my knowledge, be the ability for it to be both euros and dollars on one opportunity, since a split is one op.
Yeah, you see, the opportunity would probably be one currency, and the split would probably get converted at the end of the day for the current rate or whatever it is, right?
If you can reflect both of them, which I would say hypothetically you wouldn't be able to, because you can only have one. But I'd have to test it. And actually that brings up a good point. If you're enabling multi-currency, you can disable it. I'd suggest turning it on in your sandbox and testing there first. Just get familiar with it, and then do it in production once you have a little bit more familiarity with it.
Oh yeah.
And does Scott need to know anything about forecasting and how that would play a part in forecasting?
I would say just the piece on you select what currency to summarize it by.
Okay, so kind of the same rules as just general reporting.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And just knowing that you can have, say, 20 opportunities, 10 can be in USD, 10 can be in euros, but whatever it's grouped by, or whatever currency you've selected to have it grouped by is what the summation is going to be. And you can always flip back and forth if you wanted to see the differences.
And aren't there app exchange packages that do the conversion for you or pull in the today's current currency exchange rates for you?
I haven't heard of any. Whenever I've dealt with advanced multi-currency where it's dated, you can either do it manually where you're putting in those dates, or you can use it as a data loader kind of thing. You could do a historical import of dated exchange rates, but you just have to know what it was as of that date.
Okay.
I think that there is a Salesforce document that tells you how to import historical exchange rates.
Is that helpful, Scott?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Jeetan Madan, just a quick question out of curiosity.
Okay, does anyone else have a question or a topic they want to discuss? Don't be shy.
Hey, this is Isaac with Kansas Department of Commerce.
Hi, Isaac.
Hey, so me and my coworker, we're pretty new to Salesforce. We're currently moving from CRM Dynamics onto Salesforce platform. We have had one issue that we kind of been trying to tackle with Salesforce technical support, and we've been escalated to level 2, and we're being escalated to level 3 here shortly. We actually have a meeting in 8 minutes, which isn't too convenient. But we're working on our templates, our document templates to import into Salesforce Classic. And we're actually on the Lightning interface, but our understanding is we can only set up mail merge on Classic. So we've kind of figured out how to set it up in Classic and things like that. But we're having issues with simply knowing the correct formula or path, or kind of how we would map the fields in our document to then pull from Salesforce, if that makes sense.
To custom objects.
Custom objects, yeah.
You want to pull merge fields from custom objects into the documents?
Yeah, for the mail merge templates that we have that were originally in CRM Dynamics. We've edited them to be for Salesforce now for the custom objects that they brought over.
And do those custom objects already exist in your Salesforce?
Yeah, everything's in
Okay.
Salesforce now. But we've found some information saying you can only do mail mergers from accounts and leads and whatnot. But the information that they want in these mail mergers is actually in the custom objects. And that's how they did the mail mergers in Dynamic CRM.
So are you saying you want to launch the emails from those custom objects, or do you want to pull those fields from the custom objects?
Pull the fields.
Yeah, pull the fields from the custom objects into the mail merge document.
And so you're going for a document, not email, correct? Just to make sure.
In the end, it is a document that's going to be emailed.
Okay.
Select the mail
This
merge.
is Dale, by the way, this is Dale, the KC user group leader. I saw your post today and just haven't jumped on it, but now we can tackle it.
I was just bringing up this thing. I was curious if anybody else had already been working on that, or was successfully implemented it. Or I also look forward to the recording of this because, like my coworker said, we'll have to leave here in a few minutes to get on the other meeting. But we plan to attend these in the future.
Great, we'd love to have you. Dale is just jumping in right now to the mail merge.
And this is Classic, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it seems like you can only do it from Classic. And then we had to turn on extended mail merge under user interface.
Yeah.
And then
If you can pull up one of your Classic, do you have mail merges in place right now? in your organization?
I do not, but we could. This is a dev org, but we might be able to piece this together. Gigabit fiber, my butt. Hurry up, come on.
The format, one of the templates. That way we kind of know how to format the fields, and then they'll actually pull correctly.
Okay. So you've already started building the template, correct?
Yeah, we have a few that
Or no?
when we run them, they don't pull all the data in like we want. Under the quick search, you kind of have to go into the user interface and then turn on a feature called extended mail merge.
Are you in a position to share your screen that we can actually see?
Yeah. We can pull up a template real quick. We knew it'd probably be an open-ended question, nothing you can answer right away. That's the problem with this meeting coming up in like 5 minutes. But
And while you're doing that, where would you be launching this mail merge from? Which object?
We have a few custom objects that we would be launching them from those.
Okay. So launch it from the custom object and use the same data from that same custom object. Yeah, you should be able to, though.
instructions. There we go. And then go to So here's our templates that we pulled out of CRM Dynamics.
I think you're going to need to click share screen because we can't see your screen yet.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So here's a template, and it's simply just, we don't know how to map the fields correctly.
Have you gotten as far as where you, I guess they call it a picker when you're setting up your template? And it'll give you a list of all of the fields that are available.
No, we haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that yet. Okay. So this is strictly out of Word.
Yeah.
So,
So I just want to make sure I understand. Are you building the templates? Are you loading them into Salesforce, or are you actually building them in Word and then expecting to receive data?
We're pointing them here, and then we add the template into Salesforce. And then when we go to Salesforce, there's a part where it says merge fields, and then it tells us the document. So then we choose the document, and then it basically sends us the email of that document, and it's supposed to merge it in. But when we do it with accounts, it kind of works. It'll pull in like the company name, but for the custom objects, it doesn't work at all.
So that's my next question: is are you compiling many records of data from the custom objects? Because one thing to like, it's been a while since I've touched mail merge, but it's been a less amount of time since I've run Congo, which does document generation. You typically, if you're needing to display any child object information, there needs to be a query component in there somewhere that says, for this particular parent object record, like an account, go get all the child object records and then essentially drop them into a table, or put a loop on the template that then says, oh, I need to listen for 1 to infinity number. I don't think the standard mail merge supports a many load.
So is there any information on what you just said, or any sort of
I don't think it's Salesforce functionality anymore. For what you're potentially looking for, you're either going to have to custom develop or go with a tool like Conga or Drawloop or one of the other document generation tools.
Are those free apps or they cost money?
They cost money. Conga is very affordable. It's,
So Conga and Drawloop, is that what you said?
yes, Drawloop.
Okay. Yeah, well, and that's kind of what we were looking for. If people weren't still doing that, because a lot of it points back to like Office 2010 and whatnot, or other apps, because then the add-in is actually kind of part of Office, and you can, you know, it's just easier to integrate, I guess. But since this is on Office 2016.
Oh yeah, no, definitely Classic isn't. Classic's probably not going to play nicely with 2016. I don't think it's going to play nicely with anything past 10 or maybe 13 from an Office standpoint.
I just dropped a link for a help article, and there's a bunch of help articles. I guess the first thing that I would confirm is, can we do mail merge with custom objects? Because I've only done it with standard objects, and I've done it starting in Salesforce as opposed to where you are starting in Word.
And that's the document that I was kind of referring to, where it says like accounts and leads and whatnot.
Yeah, so I would investigate that further. I would definitely, when you're looking at a third-party tool, I would look at Conga and Drawloop, and I would compare, you know, make sure that there's apples to apples. Conga has really good customer support. Drawloop has good customer support, but it's limited generally based on time zone, which East Coast to West Coast gets a little frustrating. Their product is good. It's good when you want to build in a lot of logic and pull in language based on certain criteria. So if you have one, let's say a contract, but you could have 200 versions of that contract, that's something that Drawloop can do as well. And Conga contracts can do that as well. So I was just going to say, just make sure that you really vet what it is that you're looking for and you get the bells and whistles that you want.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. So you said that this video will be put on the community to be able to watch later?
Yes.
Recording?
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you guys.
And one
You are more than
recommendation.
welcome.
Sorry, this is Brent again. One recommendation when looking at Conga versus Drawloop, I would suggest having them take you through the process of actually putting together a template. In the case of Drawloop, and I'm basing this bit on years past, I tend to use Drawloop personally, where it brings you through a wizard for generating which profiles should it be associated to, which custom objects it should be associated to. And at least in the past, Conga didn't have as much of a wizard for doing it. So I always found it easier personally to use Drawloop if you're just like a regular admin who doesn't know a bunch of formula stuff. But that might have changed subsequently.
Yeah, and Brandon, you've got a very good point. Always vet your third-party vendors using your sandbox and make sure that they can build and deliver, as opposed to the salesperson saying, yes, we can do all of these things, and when you actually sit down to build, it doesn't do the 3 things that you really needed it to do. Yeah. So always have them prove that they can do, especially when you're getting into customizations, and have them build it all out in Sandbox or work with you to build it out in Sandbox before you sign a contract.
Okay.
That's always my hard and fast rule.
Any partner on the App Exchange worth their salt that's going to charge you money to use their product basically needs to give you at least one freebie. If it's that first template, if it's whatever, if they don't do that, they're not good.
Yeah.
That's just kind of become the expectation.
Okay.
Exactly.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for those additional comments, Brandon, too.
Of course. Actually, speaking of additional comments, going back to multi-currency, something that I wanted to call out was the overall reporting. If you wanted it to be regionally based, you have to have that identified on the opportunity. So this is in America, EMEA, APAC, but there can be overlap where, say, there's an American opportunity, but it could be in a different currency. So that would just be something you'd have to make sure that you have your regions correct.
Good points. All right, this is a great conversation. Who else has a topic or question? I don't see any hands up in our participant list. Oh, Aaron. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And we can't hear you if you are speaking.
Possibly drop it in chat.
Yeah, Aaron, we still can't hear you. So go ahead and post your, okay, good. She's starting to put it in chat. All right, while she's doing that, does anyone else have a question? Rob, please go ahead and ask your question about SSO and Box.
Woohoo!
And Rob, if you're speaking, we don't hear you either. I'm not sure. I have no way of unmuting you. And I thought Rob spoke a few moments ago too, so. Ah, here we go.
Yeah.
Rob, are you there?
Take Aaron's.
Oh, take Aaron's? Okay, let me figure this out now. Hold on. I'm still not able to unmute Aaron for some reason. Aaron, do you have an unmute button?
For questions in chat, though, I'm curious how
Okay.
everyone is creating processes regarding GDPR, specifically when a client requests data rectification.
Is anybody dealing with GDPR?
A few clients have asked about that, and at least the policy at my work is to tell them to talk to the lawyer about it, because there can be regional differences and there are a lot of nitty-gritty details that go into the GDPR that you have to adhere to regionally.
Okay.
When you say regionally, what do you mean by regionally?
So
Knowing that the bulk of this audience is U.S.
yeah, so like an example specifically would be in Europe, you can't send mass emails and have the names actually in there. Otherwise, it causes huge issues. Versus in the U.S., you can. But yeah, it ultimately just comes down to seeing what the specifics are for the region. And at least at work, they tell us to tell the client to talk to their lawyers about it.
But when you, which I get that, but when you say region, do you mean like region that your company is headquartered in, or is it the customer base that you're interacting with? Is it both? What, like?
It would be both. Because let's say you're selling in America, EMEA, and in APAC, there could be diametrically different security things that you have to adhere to.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure Aaron says specifically when a client requests data rectification, are we talking about updating something that is incorrect, or are we saying, hey, I don't want to receive anything anymore, remove me from all of your data receptacles? And when we're thinking about that, there is a recording, and I think it was dated in June. Jillian did a podcast with, the gentleman's name is escaping me, but I'll look for the recording, and it was around GDPR and how to properly maintain your data warehousing, especially when it comes to backup data, and how to make sure that all of that meets all of the guidelines and the requirements. I will look for that, and I will post it either here in the recording, with the recording, and or on community.
Was
And
it Ian Gotts?
No, it wasn't Ian Gotts. No, I think his first name was David. I'll jump into community right now and see if I can find it while, if you want to take the reins, Dale.
Sure. Brendan added a note in here going back to the multi-currency, or Brendan, if you just want to speak up, whichever. That's a good point on product.
Yeah, so when you have multi-currency enabled, let's say you have a product, you have to assign the currencies to it. So say if there's 5 different currencies you want to add to that specific product, it would be USD, Euro, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those would have the prices that you would want it to be per that currency. And since one opportunity only has one currency, say it's USD, if the product doesn't have USD listed, it's not going to show up. So you have to make sure that any of the products that you want to be listed for specific currencies show up. You just have to make sure that they have those currencies on the product itself.
I'm scrolling through all of Jillian's posts as well, and it's going to take me a bit to get there, so because I can't remember how far back it was. But as soon as I find, backing up your data under GDPR with Lee Aber. Here
that
it
was
is.
Ian, I think. Oh, okay.
No. Let's see. What is the easiest way to get this?
I'm on the page. I'm scrolling down.
Here, I've got
your data.
I've got a URL right here. Hold on, let me just get back into the chat. Here we go, guys. Try that, Dale, and see if that brings up the right. Because I think this might be what she's looking for.
Well, I hope this podcast thing really takes off because they have a lot of content. Ha 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 ha.
Ha ha.
It wants me to tweet.
Oh no, don't tweet it.
Let's try this.
Okay, did I grab the wrong one? Hold on, there's a bunch of stuff in here.
No, you're fine. Hold on. This might be it. This might be it.
Okay, so the date on it is June 7th. We're going to get you there. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just mention MVP office hours. This is what we all right, there you go. It'll be on the MVP office hours Trailblazer community page now because I've mentioned us, so that's another way to get to it.
I swear I'm trying to gigabit. Oh, did you do it? Where did you post it?
I just mentioned us in the comments. Did that not work for us? Always works for my user groups. Okay, that's weird. Should be right there at the top. Change that from show all updates to just to say recent. Just fewer. Yeah, most recent. There you go.
That's a JPEG. There we go.
So Aaron, that might help you answer the questions that you had.
Except I don't know if this is going to take you to the link to that particular podcast. You're still going to have to sort through to find him. backing up your data. There we go. Do you have a link? Of course you do. It's that one.
Okay, well they can get to that now. Awesome. All right, anybody else have a question? We've got about 15 minutes left. Rob's got a question around SSO. Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Now I can. Yes.
That's great. So we're using Files Connect, and we can see box files inside of Salesforce, which is awesome. You can grab kind of an ID for a box file, and you can send it over chat or post. And you can do that straight from the Files menu, where you see the shared library of box folders. You could also download the file directly from Salesforce by clicking on the item in the library. What's surprising, though, is if you choose the Open choice, which is to say view it, it opens a new box window and it asks you to authenticate. I've had a case on this with help and training, and I've also reached out to product management. And basically, H&T is saying, well, that's the way it's designed, because you're, in essence, you're leaving Salesforce when you go to open it. So even though Box is authenticated within the authenticated provider list, still requires an additional authentication, which you might call a secondary authentication of the user per session. So if I try and open up a second file, it doesn't have to authenticate again. Third file, not again. However, if I shut down on Monday and come back to work on Tuesday, that first file I try to open is going to ask me to authenticate. I've been doing some reading about SSO. Both tools use SSO, but what I'm not sure of is, does enabling both tools to leverage SSO, and in this case, Salesforce would be the identity provider, does that get around me? Does that get around this kind of, please authenticate a second time?
I don't know, but that sounds crazy. That's not obviously not user friendly. I'm surprised that they're saying that that's the way that it's intended to work.
Yeah, and that's actually from Salesforce Product Manager. Okay.
Is anyone else on the line using Box and File Connect?
That would be the right question. Thanks, Jackie.
Absolutely.
Anyone? Box and Salesforce. No. Okay. All right. Well, I have a ticket open with Box, and I'm wondering if they're going to tell me something different. So,
Are you going to Dreamforce? Because I'm sure Box will be there.
No, I'm sure they will be too. Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say you can get some one-on-one time with them if you were going.
Yep. That's a good idea too.
The other thing that I would recommend is that you post this question out on Answers and see if you can get more of a worldwide response.
Okay. Yeah, because I have been posting within subgroups like the identity group and also the Files Connect group. But that's an excellent suggestion. Go for a wider audience. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, you can't get any wider than Answers. That's worldwide. That's what I would do. And another thing you can do is when you post that question out there, you can always post that link in other groups.
Right.
So that you're pointing people back to the actual question where you can get a more community-wide response and more conversation.
Wow. I like your approach, Jackie.
Oh, thank you. Not my first rodeo.
No, I know that.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. That's what I like to do.
Okay. I'll give up the mic.
No problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm just looking. Scott's got something. Let's see here. Oh, he sent this to me. Let's see. What does it say? See, idea exchange link on unresolved issues with PM. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, just post it out there on Answers, and you'll get a wider range of responses. Okay, Brendan, any idea what these market development funds objects do. They seem like new standard objects for partner communities. Dale, did you grab that link in chat?
Yep. Yeah. It's on the
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Anyone have an experience with this? Market development funds. Haven't seen this before.
Yeah, I was in a client's instance and just randomly saw a bunch of new objects. So I was curious if anyone's used them before.
Create marketing budgets. Huh.
That's what I said.
No, there's got to be a trail on this, I would think. Oh, here I am trying to scroll on Dale's screen.
You can try.
It doesn't work. Like, why is the screen not moving? I guess that's what I would do, is go and look and see if there's a trail out there after reading all of this content. But no, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it looks like there's a See What's New with Sales Cloud unit that calls it out. So I'll take a look at that. But it was just odd that I found a bunch of new stuff.
Did it happen? I mean, I guess that article didn't say it was in beta. Did you happen to notice in the client org if it was in beta?
Nope. Didn't call it out as beta.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll learn more about this at Dreamforce.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, anyone else? We've got about 9 minutes left. Well, if nobody has any other questions, maybe I can put Dale on the spot. Dale, do you want to talk about Snapshot, since this is a new tool you said you were learning about? Others might benefit from your hands-on.
Yeah, I will do the best I can to. Nothing glaringly obvious about client stuff is here, but really, Sridhar, if you're online, you can jump in or at least be ready to go as well. But no, what this allows you to do is, just like with Eclipse, take full snapshots of your org in terms of all the components, all the just all your schema, all your classes, all that kind of stuff. But then also schedule those snapshots to be taken to then also do org comparison reporting. There's also other functionalities that allow you, or other pieces of here that allow you to do like pick list usage. I had a client earlier this year before I had Snapshot that wanted me to start optimizing fields and pick lists and stuff. So I had to go into every single pick list and run a dev console query that said group by that pick list, give me the number of records, and then dump that into an Excel spreadsheet. This is this will make it much easier. You can throw any pick list fields you want into a report, and it'll analyze it incredibly quickly. Going back to taking those snapshots on a regular basis, you can then kick off org comparison reporting to track what changed. If you have consultants like me in your org and you want to see what they're doing, or you just have many developers or decentralized teams of admins, whatever, Snapshot lets you hone in and get the details of what changed. There's a few other cool things in there that I've been wanting to play with, like record level security. If you put in a specific record ID, it will tell you who can see it, who has what permissions, and why. Is it because they're on a profile that is view all or modify all? Is it because they can't because it's a private sharing model and no sharing rules reached out to them? They can give you that kind of analysis as you're pouring through your secure data. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to it that I still yet to dive into because, you know, life. But there's a lot of cool stuff. And Sridhar, if you're still on the call, feel free to jump in.
I don't know if I have anything else to add to that. You did a great job there. So if you guys want to look at it from a keyword perspective, Snapshot addresses two facets. One is change and release management, help you understand how your org is structured and identify what things change and help you move that between different orgs. It could be different production orgs or sandboxes, improve production to sandbox, things like that. And the other side is org documentation, optimization documentation, security documentation, that kind of stuff. We help address those kind of issues.
Yeah, I forgot about
and
the
Dale, this
deployment
might
part
be.
thing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So all I wanted to quickly drop in there is you might be getting an update later today, Dale, when you restart the app. We are just jumping into the continuous integration process as well. So all the different facets that we offer to help you identify the differences across profiles, code, objects, whatever, can now be put into a process and then deployed through your various orgs, devs, test, staging, production, that kind of stuff, as well as pull that metadata from your content repositories, Git, DFS, SVN, whatever you might have.
Thank you. It is really cool. I highly suggest you go find Metazoa in the App Exchange, and there'll be a Dreamforce. They've been hitting the community Dreamin' events. They're a good company, good product. So
Very cool. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot too.
yeah, no worries.
All right, we just got a couple minutes left. Does anyone have a last minute question? Are you looking for some guidance? We're happy to help. All right, well, with that, I guess if you do have any other further questions, feel free to post them in the MVP office hours on the Trailblazer community, and we will do our best to respond and give you some guidance. And until next time, everyone have a great weekend. Appreciate you spending the hour with us. Hope that we were able to help give you some guidance and help get you on the right track and provide you with some resources. Thank you, everyone, for the great questions, great conversation, and contributing to each other's success. We really appreciate it. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.